Well, everyone's favourite part of the show. Good evening, boomers. You ruined this country. You benefited after the war from a booming economy, from millions of new homes, from an economy that was doing far better and getting richer. And yet now, as your lives are winding down, too many want to pull up the ladder from my generation. And nowhere is that more evident than in housing. Yes, I'm talking about the green belt. It keeps getting bigger. People think this is our beautiful, pleasant land. It's doubled in the last 20 or 30 years, from 6% of the country to 13%. Boomers are controlling where people can live, and it's meaning that house prices are out of reach for people like me. Now, even Keir Starmer and Michael Gove have found some agreement on this. Keir Starmer, I thought, was really brave this week when he said it's time to build on the green belt. You know, what I say is, what do we want? Concrete. Where do we want it? Lots more places. Because the truth is that we don't have enough houses in this country. You know, you have local councillors around Britain who are more scared to look at the green belt than Philip Schofield is to look at his Twitter mentions. And that is why we need to change this. We need to have a situation where we stop thinking that the green belt cannot be built on. How much of this country do you think has housing on it? You're probably thinking 50, 60%. Let me tell you, it's not your time, Leo. It's 1.3% of the country has housing on it. It's tiny. The truth is that we need to rip up planning rules. We need to ignore the NIMBYs, those people that say, not in my backyard. And we need to start the diggers on building across Britain. Now, Leo, it's your turn.
Benjamin, why do you need a house? I mean, you're clearly happy with living in a skip. Also, the left have really changed. I mean, you used to be all about protecting the environment, and now you just want to concrete over all of it to accommodate all the people you want to bring into the country.
Well, I mean, you live rent-free in my head, judging by this evening. But look,
I'm not the one sitting at home making up nicknames for you.
Don't worry, I only sat here doing that. But, you know, the truth is that actually this myth that it is all beautiful countryside, that it's the Lake District or the Cotswolds, it's just nonsense. And actually, why should people like me have, you know, in London, it's like £500,000-600,000 for a small flat? We can't go on like this.
Why don't we build on brownfield sites instead? And the government, the state has got lots of unused buildings. There's lots of industrial areas that can be rejuvenated, and they're close to the facilities that houses actually need. Well, instead of building valuable environment.
Darren wants the airtime.
I do actually agree on the point of, you know, what's classified as greenbelt in some cases is insane, like a disused car wash, for example. But what I would say is, I think it's really actually quite offensive, and if I can sound like a snowflake for a moment, to the people that were paying double-digit interest rates for their mortgages, that worked pretty bloody damn hard, actually, to create a better life for themselves and to pass on to their children.
But they're not passing it on to their children.
Actually, they were struggling in the past. They went through what happened in the 1970s, because of your kind of economics.
Well, I won't have a Liz Truss supporter talking about that.
Well, you sound like Liz Truss, though, actually, Benjamin. She's all for ripping up all the planning regs.
But look, just to be clear...
Getting building.
I think so many people in this country, so many people of that generation, I'm not saying they didn't work hard and they didn't have to save.
You dismiss them
and they
as
didn't have
boomers
discipline.
with contempt.
I know they did. You know, my late grandparents were buy-to-let landlords and they worked very hard for moderate income. So I come from a background that has that. But they're not passing it on to their children because the market is warped. And the truth is the average rent this week outside of London went over £1,000 a month. So where are people meant to get the money to buy these houses? And I wouldn't mind if they weren't blocking house building, but in towns and cities across this country, people who moved into new builds 30, 40, 50 years ago won't let any new builds turn up.
Well, let's reduce immigration, Benjamin. That's the answer,
Darren, I think that's a really lazy point.
It is not.
And I will tell you why. I'll tell you why it's a lazy point. Because actually, even if we stopped immigration tomorrow and had net zero immigration, we would still have a massive housing shortage. Now, of course, can I continue? I was about to say, but of course, continued mass migration just exacerbates the situation. But the point is, Benjamin is right. We need to be building more houses. And actually, there aren't enough brownfield sites to build all the houses that we need. So, yes, we will need to build in some greenfield areas. What I would propose is building around train stations that are in the green belt, which are just surrounded by fields.
Well, I think this is
why
outrageous.
not do that?
Yeah, who needs fields? We get our food from Tesco's.
Forget building...
1.3% of the country is built upon.
Well, yeah, but forget building
That's
Jerusalem.
a lot.
Fields.
That's an awful lot. No, the rest
is
is countryside. The
Which
rest
is
fields,
fields,
countryside, wilderness,
Fields.
whirling.
Actually, most of it's agriculture.
Yeah.
You know, and lots of that isn't even used
You know
at
what?
the time. Lots of it is pretty rubbish land.
I think a lot of people will agree with me. I wish we didn't need to build this many houses.
If you do say so yourself.
But the fact that we do need to build so many houses means obviously we need to build on the greenbelt, because where else are people going to live? I mean, it's getting ridiculous. As
Well,
you say,
hang
the rental
on,
prices,
hang
as you say,
on.
the house prices. We do need to build, and we need to build up as well.
Well, so instead of building Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land, we're going to build Birmingham en masse in England's green and pleasant land.
Yeah, I hope so.
What a
I
damn
hope so.
disgrace.
No, I hope so, because what is the point in a country which can't house its own people? What is the point when you have a generation who can't afford, when they work all day, every day, to have a house? You know, we talk on this programme we did last week and this channel a lot about people not having enough kids. It was a big theme of the National Conservatism conference you were at. Mate, they're not having kids because they can't afford a home to raise them in.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons, yeah, exactly.
And actually, do you know who spoke about housing in their National Conservatism speech? Danny Kruger, and I completely agreed with him. He actually spoke about He actually spoke about the need for there to be community trusts, which are almost owned by the people. It sounds a bit like a cooperative. Actually, this was being proposed by your chum, Danny Kruger, and I think he's absolutely right.
I just want to
We need to come up with creative solutions to the housing shortage, and I'm glad that it's finally a topic that people are taking seriously.
I just want to quickly make the point. I'm hosting Headliners tonight at 11 p.m, so tune in for that.